take a couple other threads that are in play, because it's really important we understand what's at stake. It's really important we understand having high aspiration in moments of rupture, okay? And the way that history moves, if we want to rely on Sahih non-Muslim, كما قال Lenin, right? Lenin has a saying, he said, there are years in which decades happen. And if you study the Zionist movement, okay, the Zionist movement was one that was in the right place at the right time, but put in a lot of work to be ready for when the opportunity came. And as soon as the British Mandate was wrapping up, they did exactly what they had planned to do for a long, long time. If you don't know the history, I've got a history book coming out, inshallah, this year. You can read about it. We need to have that mentality that things might rupture in a very significant way. So historical change happens. It doesn't happen like a linear graph. It happens like a hockey stick where you're putting in little. You see very, very little change. The cracks start to slowly show, but then there is a breaking of the dam, and things change fast, and things change significantly in very, very significant structural ways. And if you're not ready for that opportunity, then you miss the boat. Right? So there's a lot that we need to be doing, both within our communities and then agitation outside of our communities in order to be ready for that moment when it comes. And I honestly believe, seriously believe, in my heart of hearts, that it's coming. Because, as Sammy said, the Zionist movement and the occupation of Palestine has never been weaker. It has never been more precarious. People are you have, unfortunately, some politicians who are still defending the right for Israel to defend itself, but you have other folks who are saying that Israel no longer has a right to exist. And I believe that it's high time that we start unifying around a very clear message that Israel must be abolished. That we are not just wanting a generic freedom, that the nation of Israel, of course, we're not talking about the people, that's another issue, but the nation of Israel must be abolished. And this is something that is historically precedented. They did it to Prussia after the World Wars. Prussia was the engine behind Nazi Germany. And you can best be sure that Prussia did not survive as an administrative state after the two World Wars. It was very intentionally abolished and dismantled. Why was it abolished and dismantled? It was abolished and dismantled because it was the ideological engine of the militarism of the Nazi regime. And so after a nation shows its true colors, and I think that's one of the points of brilliance behind the way that this talk is entitled, that the Nakba and what we see today is an expression, or let's say the most honest face of the Zionist movement, okay? Forget about liberal Zionism or this Zionism or that Zionism. The Nakba in 1948, and it has continued up until now, but it is especially masked off in the last year and a half to 2 years, is an actual revealing of what the Zionist movement was always about. It was always about the options that Netanyahu is trying to force upon the people of Gaza right now. Either you live as slaves, or you leave, or you're dead. That's always been what the Zionist movement is about. And any nation that is predicated from its constitution to its laws, to its infrastructure, to its roads, to its foreign policy, any nation that is predicated upon such statutes or philosophy must be abolished, and we cannot settle for anything less. It is the time to rally around this. I firmly believe that. And, you know, we have a little bit of convincing to do for some people, but I think that if the Israelis are calling for it and Israeli historians are calling for it, I think the least that we can do is get behind them. That's one thing. But there's much, much more that's at stake when it comes to all of the moving pieces. We have Mahmoud Khalil is still locked up. May Allah free him. We have Rumeisa, who was just released. We have the others who were released. We're seeing perhaps what is the last stand of Zionist soft and hard power within the hegemon of the world, the United States. Every lever, every string that they have worked for decades to create, they are trying to pull it, and they are desperately trying to pull it simultaneously while these strings are being cut one at a time. You and I have a duty in this country to continue to cut those strings. You and I have a duty to understand how the soft power works, and in order to displace it or to neutralize it in whatever possible way we can. So all of this is tied together. I tried to say, I think months ago when we were here together, I said, and it seemed dramatic at the time, but I hope now I've been proven right. It's all of us or none of us, right? It's everything or nothing. Like, the Zionists will not rest until they change the Quran. The Zionists will look at what they're doing to Epic City. Look at what that's a New York Zionist, Amy Meckelberg. Look at what she's doing to our communities in Texas, right? Look, you guys know, especially those who are on the ground and involved in the activist scene, it's everything or nothing. It might be the final boss fight, right? There's so much at stake. Our ability to be Muslims, to call Islam what it is, to say the takbir, to recite the Quran. A maximalist Zionist world is a world in which Muslims do not exist. And it's also a world in which Palestinians don't exist. And it's not going away. It's never going to go away. That was the mistake of 9/11 when we thought we'll just give out food and disaster relief and we'll be safe. Wrong. We learned the hard way. We passed on that. It came back around to us, and it's going to keep coming back around to us in our community until we face it head on. We outsmart them, we outspend them, we be patient, and we outlast. And we know that Allah has promised us victory. We know that Allah is with us and that He will deliver us. All we have to do is try. It's like the story of Bani Israel in Surah Al-Ma'idah, where they finally make it to the promised land. And they're instructed, just go in. Allah has promised you victory. And they're like, you know what? There's some tough-looking guys in there. I don't know. And then look at the disdain that they show. فَاذْهَبْ أَنْتَ وَرَبُّكَ. You and your Lord, go and fight. This is our fitna. This is our examination right now. Are we going to be like Bani Israel in those verses and say, well, APAC, my degree, well, I don't want to have any sort of discomfort in my life. Well, maybe I can just make money and hide away and maybe I'll be safe. You will not be safe. You endanger all of us and yourself. Okay? If you try to save yourself, you endanger yourself and everybody else. This is everyone together. We have to face it. We have to win. There's no other option. The good news is that Allah promised us that all we have to do is put in the work and put in the effort, and He will deliver the victory and find out the how. The Marjorie Taylor Greens and the TikToks and the things that don't even make sense. Allah will find the how and will, after we've done what we can to figure out how to strategize the best, but when it comes to what's going to happen, it seems like Israel's falling into the same trap that Fir'aun fell into, where Fir'aun was so arrogant that every step that he took to escalate. Look at the response when UK said what they said about the free trade agreements. They doubled down. They're ashamed of nothing. They're absolutely ashamed of nothing. It's the same Fir'aunic mentality that seems to be that every step that they take to escalate, to double down, they are digging their own graves. But we have to take care of our wajib. We have to do what is required of us. And that requires, as Sammy said, patience and discomfort. We knew when we were getting into a Trump presidency that we would see crackdowns. We knew that some of us would be arrested. We speculated maybe some of us would even be killed through, who knows, vigilante violence, crazy Zionists, whatever. It could be anything. It's possible. These things happen. There are martyrs. When one day we tell the story of how Zionism fell and how Israel ceased to be and it was abolished, we will tell the story of Mahmoud Khalil. We will tell they are the heroes, the people who rose to the top when it was hard, when it was risky, when it wasn't sure. Those are the people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen to do His work. But you have to be patient when that wave comes and you know it's going to come and there's a price to pay. There's a price of discomfort. There's a price. Allah said He will test us in the loss of wealth, the loss of our families, the loss of loved ones. Many different types of loss can happen to us. If you are not ready for loss, get ready. That is the attitude of the minute and the hour and the day and the time in which we live. And if we're able to do that, then I have zero doubts that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will topple the Zionist regime within not just our lifetimes, but within the decade. I think it really is possible. But we have to take care of our wajib, and then we rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah knows best.